What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jared Speaks, episode 8. I am genuinely grateful you are here. Every single day I sat down to do this, and every single day knowing that somebody out there is actually listening makes it worth it. This show is growing, and I feel it. Thank you for being a part of that. Now, today's episode, I need to warn you up front. This one's going to get personal. More personal than anything I have shared on this show so far. There is a story in here that I've never really talked about publicly. One that left a mark on me that I carried for years without fully understanding what it was doing to me. Before we get there, I want to start somewhere most people can relate to. I want to start with flying. As far back as I can remember, and I mean back to being a kid, I've had dreams where I could float, not flying like a superhero with a cape and a destination, just lifting, slowly rising off the ground and going wherever I wanted to go. Peaceful, calm, and control. Those dreams never scared me. They never felt random. They felt like the most natural thing in the world, like something I was supposed to be able to do that was not available to me when I was awake. And here is one thing, I still have them as an adult. The same dream or versions of it showing up throughout my entire life from childhood to now. If you ever had a dream like that, and a lot of people have, you know what I mean when I say it feels differently from regular dreams. There's something about the ones that keep coming back, the ones that stay with you, that feels less like random noise and more like something your mind is returning to on purpose. This is actually where I want to start today because I think the dreams that repeat, the the ones that follow you across the years and decades are trying to tell you something. And today we're going to figure out what that something might be. Before we get into the deep end, I want to lay some groundwork because understanding what your brain is doing when you dream makes everything else in the episode land harder. When you fall asleep, your brain does not shut off. It actually gets busy, really busy. There are different stages of sleep that, and the one that matters the most for dreaming is called REM sleep. We talked about this back in the sleep paralysis episode. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and it's the stage where your brain is most active. Your eyes are moving behind your closed eyelids. Your brain is firing in patterns that look like being awake, and your body is paralyzed, locked down so you do not act out of what is happening in your mind. Scientists believe your brain uses this time to do a few things. It processes emotions from the day. It sorts through memories and decades of what to keep and what to let go. It makes connections between things that do not seem connected when you are awake. It works through problems. It rehearses scenarios. In other words, your brain is working the night shift, and dreams are what that work looks like from the inside. But here's where it gets interesting. That explanation covers a lot of dreams, the random ones, the ones that feel like a blender of everything that happened that week, the ones you forget by the time you brush your teeth. It does not fully explain the other ones, the ones that feel different, the ones that leave something behind when you wake up, the ones that come back year after year after year. For those ones, I think something else is happening. And I want to talk about what that might be. Recurring dreams are one of the most studied and least understood things in all of sleep research. And everybody has them. And everybody who has them describes the same quality. They feel more real than regular dreams, more intentional, like a dream has a point. The most common recurring dreams people report are falling or being chased, showing up somewhere unprepared, teeth falling out, which I have had quite a few times myself, and flying or floating. The last one, floating, is so common across so many cultures and time periods that researchers have a name for it. They call them flying dreams. And the emotional tone of them varies wildly from person to person. Some people find them terrifying. Some people, like me, find them peaceful and freeing. What does it mean when a floating dream keeps coming back your whole life? One interpretation is that it represents a desire for freedom, for rising above whatever situation is weighing on you, for having control over where you go and how you move through the world. And when you think about living with ADHD, with a brain that does not always cooperate, that gets pulled in directions that you did not choose, a dream where you are completely in control of your movement, completely free, completely at peace, makes a certain kind of sense. Maybe your mind keeps going back there because it is the version of yourself that feels most free. Another interpretation goes deeper. Some spiritual traditions believe that flying and floating dreams are not just symbolic. They believe what you are experiencing is real. That during deep sleep, your consciousness can actually separate from your body and move. That the floating is not a dream at all. It is a memory of something that actually happened while you were asleep. This is connected to what is called astral projection. And we will give that one its own episode because it deserves a full conversation. But I want to sit with the idea for a second that a dream you've had your entire life might not just be your brain making things up, that it might be your consciousness going somewhere, doing something, and bringing a feeling back with it that is peaceful and real and has been consistent your entire life. Now, I want to tell you about the other kind of dream, the kind that does not bring peace. This one is hard for me to talk about. I'm going to share it anyway because I think there is something in it that a lot of people need to hear. And because keeping it private has not done me any good. It was around 2013. I had a dream about a guy I used to know, someone I had not seen since middle school, around 2004 era. 5 years or more without any contact. No reason for him to be on my mind. No recent trigger that I can point to. In the dream, I was at a gas station. He walked up to me. I recognized him immediately. And before I could say a word, he put a gun to my head. I remember begging for my life. I remember the words coming out of me. I remember the desperation of it. And then he pulled the trigger. Here's the part that stayed with me longer than anything else. I did not wake up right away. In that dream, I felt my body hit the ground, and I was still conscious. I was still aware. I was still able to see what was around me. And the thought running through my head was, I'm about to die. I just got shot in the head. Not panicked words, just a quiet, certain knowing. Like my mind had accepted it and was watching the end arrive. And then I could feel my conscience starting to fade. Not all at once, slowly. Like the edges of my vision started going dark and closing in toward the center. Everything getting smaller and smaller and darker until there was nothing. And then I woke up. I was not okay. Not for weeks. Not really for a long time after that. I stopped going out as much. I stayed home. Felt safer with the walls around me than out in the world. And I built that comfort back up slowly, day by day, week by week, until it faded enough that I could function normally again. But here's what I know now that I did not know then. That dream did not just scare me, it rewired something. It left a mark that shaped how I move through the world in ways that I was not even aware of until I really sat down and looked at it. I want to talk about this carefully because I think there are people listening who've had their own versions of this. A dream that got inside them, that changed their behavior, that never, that they never fully shook. First, what the science would say, vivid, traumatic dreams like this are often your brain processing fear, working through something it perceives as a threat, even if the threat directly connects to your waking life. Sometimes the brain uses dream scenarios to rehearse worst case situations as a form of preparation. It sounds cruel, but the idea is that running through terrifying scenarios in sleep helps your brain feel more ready for danger when you are awake. There's also something called threat simulation theory. The idea that dreaming evolved partly as a way to simulate threats in a safe environment, to give your mind practice navigating danger without actually having to face it, which means your brain's doing that to you, running that scenario. Might have actually been trying to protect you, not hurt you. That doesn't make it less scary, but it reframes what it was doing. Now, here's something I want to be honest with you about. When I was working through this episode, in my head, I had a thought that surprised me. What if it was not just a dream? And I want to be real with you. That thought came from the primitive part of my brain, the part that's not built, the part that is built for survival, the part that stays alert, pay attention. This could be a signal. And I think it's worth keeping an open mind about that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know for certain what dreams are and are not. I do not know. Nobody does. What I know is that it scared me deeply. And I think there is wisdom in not completely dismissing that. But, and this matters, there's a difference between being aware and being controlled. Between noting the signal and letting the signal run your life. I lost time to that dream. Real time. Time I spent inside my own four walls because something that happened in my sleep made the outside world feel less safe. And looking back, I don't want that for myself again. And I don't want it for you either. Whatever your version of that dream is, whatever fear got in you through the back door while you were asleep, it does not get to make the decisions. You do. Let me shift the energy here because I want to cover something that is on the other end of the spectrum from fear. Prophetic dreams. Dreams that seem to show you something before it happens. Now, I want to be careful here because this is one of those areas where confirmation bias is real. Confirmation bias means you remember the hits and forget the misses. You remember the dreams that seem to predict something and forget the 100 dreams that predicted nothing. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you prophetic dreams are definitely real. But I'm also not going to tell you that they are not. Because across every culture in human history, people have reported dreams that showed them something before it happened. These are documented cases. There are too many of them across too many different traditions and time periods to just wave that as coincidence. And there is actually a framework from what we talked about in earlier episodes that could explain it. Remember the reticular activating system, your brain's filter from episode 6? Once your brain flags something as important, it starts noticing it everywhere. What if some dreams are your brain picking up on patterns in your waking life that your conscious mind has not processed yet and showing you the logical outcome before you get there? Not supernatural, just your brain doing what it does, finding patterns, but doing it faster and deeper than your waking awareness can keep up with. That would mean prophetic dreams are not your brain seeing the future. They are your brain doing math that you have not done yet and showing you the answer in your sleep. Here is where I want to land this episode because I think there's a practical takeaway that is worth more than all the theory. Pay attention to your dreams, not in an obsessive way, not in a way that pulls you into fear or confusion, but in the same way that you would pay attention to a conversation with someone who actually knows you well. Because your dreaming mind has access to things your waking mind keeps locked up. The emotions you have not dealt with and the fears that you have pushed down. The patterns your conscious brain has not connected yet. And it tries to show you those things at night when the noise of the day is gone and there is nothing to distract you. The floating dream that has followed me my whole life is telling me something about what peace and freedom feel like to me, about what I'm always reaching for. The dark dream from 2013 showed me something about fear and safety and how fragile my sense of security actually was. Both were trying to help, even the dark one, even the one that kept me home for weeks. Your dreams are not your enemy. They're a part of you that does not know how to lie. That is episode 8, everybody. I want to say something before I let you go. I was actually really close to not sharing that dream today. It still has weight to it, even now. But I think the whole point of this show is to go to the real places, not just the comfortable ones. And if somebody is listening that needed to hear that dream, can shake you to your core and still not have the last word, I hope that landed. Real quick before I sign off, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever you found this show, please take 10 seconds and hit that follow button. And if you can leave a rating, I would really appreciate it. It doesn't take a long time, and it makes a massive difference in getting this show in front of more people. I'm building something here, one episode at a time, and that support means everything to me. If today hit you in a way, share it with somebody. You know who needs to hear this one. New episode tomorrow. Stay curious. Take care of yourselves. I will talk to you then.